That's it, I can't make any more. It's bloody purgatory. I know Jenkins, I'm going to tell him. Oh, look lively, here he comes. What is this slacking with the DKW screw production? I'm putting you on my list. Captain Tweed. For when we're in the war, there will be consequences. You can do what you like, you ain't going to win the war. Oh yes we will. Oh no you're not. Oh yes we will.
Whistle while you work. Hitler is at work. These are bombs.
Your name will also go on the list. What is it? Don't tell him Jenkins. Jenkins. All right, Jenkins, stop crying. I told you the Germans don't have a sense of humour. Oh, thank God, did it down my front there. Hello, welcome to Tweed's Garage, where in this video we're going to do a bit more on the Bantam. So we've been busy working away, been a bit quiet, but stuff has been getting done. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about, the work that we've done, is on the, oh bugger, where is it? A bit dirty. On the airbox, it's been sitting around for a while. Now, this is BSA airbox. It normally has, turns back to the audience, don't know what it was, one of these air filters in it, but they're sort of like hen's teeth. They're very hard to get hold of. They don't make them anymore, and they're held in with a rubber band. The rubber band was okay. But when you looked, it wasn't sealing around this edge here. You know, there was a big dirty mark where obviously the air filter wasn't doing anything really. It was just sort of looking, sitting there looking pretty. So as you can't get those, and we're going to set the BSA internet alight, they're going to explode. I decided to convert it to use mini paper air filters. Which are up here. I turns back to the audience again, annoys the wife. Bought sort of a box load of them, they were going cheap, so got sort of, I think 4 I managed to get, so it'll last this a lifetime. Yeah, so let's open. These are the special screws that I made in an earlier video to tidy that up because the old ones were damaged, and there is the new mini air filter mounted in there. Now there's different ways of doing it, and I looked at it, and the trouble is I didn't want to cut off the brackets on the original air box. You know, I didn't want to sort of change it in any way, so I had to sort of come up with a system that would the air filter would fit, and it could be sort of secured without, you know, drilling extra holes or putting extra mountings on and that. I don't know why, you know, you sort of get a bit precious about these things, but it was just a sort of challenge to do. So, and the other thing you needed to do is they do fit in there, these mini air filters like that, but there's the brackets here, here, and here for the band that fixes the original air filter on. And the centre hole puts this air filter, the side of it, over this bracket so it won't go down properly. So what I needed to do was make an offset mounting for it. So here it is. So there, see, we've got a little offset mounting. Air filter plugs onto it like that. And then there's a button like that, goes on there, and it's just enough that when you put the lid on and screw it down, the lid pushes down on the air filter and holds it securely in place. Now, why would people get upset? Some people say that the two-stroke oil coming back through, you know, soaks into the air filter and sort of blocks it up. But when I looked at the inlet rubber that's obviously been on the bike since original, you know, there wasn't any, there's dirt in there, but there wasn't any sort of, you know, oil residue hanging around. Maybe right at the very end here, but not up here. So I don't think it'll be a problem. So yeah, that pops on there like that. That goes on there like that. Box goes on, holds it all secure. Jobs are good. And how do we do it? Well, we got the usual trick. We got the usual, that big bit of plastic that I bought. Not sure if it's PVC or Delrin or one of the other ones, but it turns very nicely, turning sort of nylon. Got a lump of this, marked it out for the offset and worked out a way to leave myself enough material so there's enough sidewall when I sort of offset one side to the other, and then marked that out, popped it in the lathe, set it over on the 4-jaw chuck, and turned one side up, drilled a hole through to mark the other offset so that when I flipped the part over I could set it back up again and do the other side. I only turned it sort of halfway through, bored it halfway through, and then when I come through from the other side I sort of bored it halfway plus a little bit just to break into it to get my hole through on the adapter. So this is the adapter here, see, so it's sort of got offset. You can see, can you see offset there? I'll do some close-ups for you. And then what we also done was turned, it needed to fit over this rubber inlet that pushes through the plate. It's on a flange, pushes through, flange sits on the other side, secures it. There's meant to be a spring in there that holds it in place, but that's long gone missing. So what I've done is where you push this piece in to here, it spreads it out enough to secure it, so it secures that as well. And then because it was offset, I left a little bit of the foot at the back of it there, the same thickness as the rubber inlet, as a little sort of standoff foot, so when you pushed it into place like that and then the air filter was pushed on top, if you'd sort of just turned it flush all the way along, it'd allow the air filter to tip over slightly like that. So it's got a little foot at the back of it that sits down nice and tight, nice and square, and then you pop your air filter on like that. You drop that, pop that on there, and then pop it all together like that. And a neat little solution. So here we go, here's the original air filter, and you can see it's sort of crumped up there, there and there, and you can see the contact points on the air box. It made contact there, there and there, but you know, air's getting through here, getting through there, getting through there, so you know, it wasn't doing anything. So what we made is this. So this is the offset. Got a little bit more work to do. Oh, I've done a little bit of work on it. I sort of forget what I do now. Sort of shaped it inside there a bit, you know, because it's offset, just to smooth the flow through round the corner. Taking a little chunk out of there because in their infinite wisdom, the mounting hole for the airbox is right next to the inlet rubber. So, you know, when you do that up, that's going to squash under a bolt anyway. But anyway, that gives it a bit of clearance. This is the foot that was on about, where I've sort of bored it out to fit over here. But there's a little bit of extra, so I left that at the same thickness as this. So when that goes on there, there you go, you can see the offset sit down. You can see it better around the other side actually, where I've milled off the side. You can see how the foot sits down on the back plate and makes it sit nice and square rather than tipping towards the back. So that goes like that. Then your air filter just pushes on there like that. And then that goes on there like that. So that's your whole assembly. So it's a bit on the wonk because I'm doing it one-handed. Goes like that. Sits there like that. And then I've worked out the distance, so when you do it up, there's a sort of about a millimetre or so that this rests in the lid here and pushes it down. You see there's a little bit of rock there. not too much because you don't want to crush the air filter. All you want to do is just sort of secure it in place so it can't fall off, and I'm not going to do those up with one-handed because I'm going to end up chewing up the screws. But there you go, that's the air box. So little adaptation done, and some will like it and some won't. So in preparation for when the cases go back together, you need to sort of work out the end float of the crankshaft within its bearings and shim it out accordingly. So you need to pull out the little locating sleeves, there's 2 of them, out of the cases, so it's easy for you to sort of push it together, just bolt it up and then do your end float, take it apart, and then you put the sleeves back in when you finally assemble it. They're in there quite tight, and the edges of them had been beaten around before. Of course, being a Bantam, somebody had been at it. So I decided to make a little extractor. So I just sort of turned up a little aluminium tube, drilled out big enough to bridge over the sleeve that was in there, and then drilled a hole for the bolt to go through, and then turned up a little stepped threaded sleeve that would just go inside the locating sleeve, and there's just enough bite on that once you get it home that it won't turn, so it works quite well. So you just sort of put the bolt through the body, put it through the sleeve, put this sleeve nut on the other side, and do it up so it sits on the locating sleeve, and then when it sort of bites, just start doing up the nut on the end, and that pulls them out into that quite nicely. Yeah, so little tool made up, done the job, rather than beating the living daylights out of it with a drift or something, damaging the ends of it, damaging the cases, and yeah, worked really well, so they can be used again. Right, next thing, look at the notebook, turns back to the audience. So in preparation for pushing the crank back together, I'll show you a video here where I'll sort of finish disassembling it, pushing out the 2 main shafts out of the flywheels. So I made a little mandrel for that as well to push that out. Yeah, and I made some just out of, I think it's just black steel I've got lying around. Made a load of mandrels to go over the shafts and sit on the shoulders like so. I think this is one of them. No, that's for something else. Where is it? Here we go, like that, goes on that. Yeah, so we got those, little story behind those. Probably won't see it in this video, see it in the next one. So it's time to continue with the disassembly of the crankshaft. I've taken all the measurements I need off of these 2 main shafts to make sure that when I press in the new ones I get them in the right position, and they've been scribed up with a witness line so I know how far to press them in. I don't know if you can see that. There you go, that one as well, very faint but I can see them. So they're ready to go in, and also I've made a few mandrels to make the operation easier. So I've got 1 each for the 2 shafts, not sure which is that. That one for that one. Nope, try it the first one. That one for that one. That one for that one for pressing in the new shafts, and then this one here for pushing out these old pins there, just a little bit undersized for the shaft, just to push it out nice and squarely. So, to the press cave. So, first victim, timing sprocket side first, doesn't matter which one, and I've marked them up just so they go back together the same way. I don't think it makes any odds, but as they've been used to going that way, we'll keep them that way. There we go. Two tons, 4 tons, let it have a little breather. Oh, there we go, just over 4 tonnes. Like the crank pin. Not so clever, Mr. Tweed, didn't make it quite long enough. Bear with. Right, bit of adjustment. Oh, it was a gnat's cock. Alternator side. Right, and off we go. 2 tonnes. Just under 4 tonnes. And it has a breather. Five tonnes, a bit tight that side. There we go. Squeak it out. There we go, number 2, halfway there. Right, you can tell I haven't done it for a while. Oh, where's my notes gone? The other thing I've been doing, took a little while. Well, it didn't take a little while. Once I got going, it didn't take too long at all, but quite laborious. Had to make a load of screws. As you saw in the intro, made 12 screws, countersunk screws for the stuffer plates on the flywheels. Needs 12 screws to get them into place. Most of the threaded holes were okay in the flywheels, but there were a couple with broken rivets in that I had to sort of drill out on the mill. I think I've told you this already. So I had to turn up the 12 countersunk screws, very small, but once you get going, work out a system of how you're going to do them. It was just a case of turning them up. So turn them down to size on the outside edge with the 30-degree countersunk on them, then put a chamfer on them. Then with that done, run a die down it to the correct size. And then with that done, in with the parting tool, part off the screw. One done, ready for the next operation. So just done that, went through, made about 14 just in case I lost one under the bench. I did. So with that done, it was a case of going over to the mill, putting them in a collet block, setting them up so that the milling cutter was set at half distance. And I've said how you do that before. You know, you measure the diameter of the screw, you measure the thickness of the saw blade, you add the two together and then divide by 2, and that will give you the amount when you touch off at the top of the screw head. That will give you the amount to move your cutter down to set you in the middle, and then cut your screw slot. So with that done, just run through the 14, cut the slots. So that was them done. They fit in really nice, look good. So the plan will be to put them in, do them up with a bit of Loctite, hold them in place, and the stuffer plates, I'm going to put a bit of gasket sealant behind, silicone sealant. It was here earlier on, moved it, because I just believe you need to seal those plates, otherwise there's no benefit to them at all. If you've got air gaps around them, you know, that air volume is still within the crankcases. So a little bead of silicone around all the orifices, and then put them together, do them up tight, bit of Loctite, and then when that's all gone off, go along with the TIG welder and just sort of TIG weld the countersunk screw just in one spot, countersunk screw against the stuffer plate to lock them in place, so they're not going to come undone and cause damage like they did before. And if they ever need to be taken out, it's just a case if you could just grind back that little bit of weld and the screws would come undone. Well, they wouldn't, because I Loctite them as well, so you'd have to heat them up. So those were done, and then it was a case of more screws. Now, I did ask you a lot about whether to use just sort of Allen bolts and the old screws, or slotted screws. I think it was a sort of, I think most said, I can't remember. Anyway, I completely ignored it and went for the slotted screws, make me own, make me new ones. I think you're only thinking of me and all the hard work I'd have to do to make them. So thanks for that, but I made them anyway. And the way I've done that was the same sort of process. We'll have a little engineering montage as I run through making a screw for you. But it's a sort of same thing as the others, you know, turn down the shaft of the screw to the diameter that you want for your thread, cut your thread, and then pass them off. And then with that done, with them all done, it was a case of flipping them over the other way, because the original screws have a little bit of a sort of radius to them. So I've done the same, ground up a profile tool and cut the profile on the end of the heads, and then with that done, onto the milling machine, same as before, put them in a collet, measure the diameter, measure the cutter, add them together, divide by 2, move it all down, cut your slot, jobs are good 'un. Okay, so a little bit of a montage coming up. Oh no, this way. So there you go, that was the screws made. Now, you may ask, because they're all different, typical, yeah, there's a variety of length of screws, but I discovered most of those, turns back to the audience again, in the, I've got a parts replacement book here, and in there it has, squinting over glasses, just trying to find a good picture for you. So here they are. You know, you go through the diagrams and find all the screws you need, and it gives you, you know, the number of the screw. And if you go here, 40 and 38, next page. 38 screws short, primary cover, 6, doesn't give you the length. 40 screw long, primary cover, quarter British Standard fine by 2 inch. So most of them, it gave you the length. I think there was 2. Yeah, I think it said, yeah, primary cover, one of them, that the one I happened to show you, it just says short. And I think the other one, it just said long. Didn't say what the measurement was. So the way to do that is, I knew all the other lengths. I just grabbed the crankcase half, grabbed the cover, popped them together, and measured the hole to the shoulder where the screw bed's down, and by going by the other holes that I knew what length the screws were, I could work out what length I required. It's just that depth minus 1/4 inch they seem to go on. So that I worked out the measurement of the other 2 screws that I needed, and yeah, so went and turned all them out, and they look quite good. Now they're okay at the moment, but they will go rusty because they're only turned out of steel. And what I might be doing for another video is, I've got some zinc plate here, I've got some vinegar down there, I've got my power supply here, and some plastic bins under here you can't see. So we'll have a go at zinc plating, but I'll try and do it with stuff that you can get in the UK, because some of the stuff that they get in Australia, New Zealand especially, the acids now, we can't get them over here, but there are other ways and means of doing it. So I'm going to give it a go and see how we can do it with just stuff you can get, you know, from your local supermarket, DIY store, that kind of thing. Okay, so that'll be a future video. We'll give it a go. If you don't see the video, it didn't work, but I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will be fine. It will give, you know, a nice sort of grey sheen protection, pretty much as they would be from the factory. You know, a lot of people go for this sort of passivated finish now and that, but they didn't have that in the sort of 50s, 60s. You know, I don't even know if they play. I think they did. I think they sort of had a zinc coating on them just to sort of stop them corroding. So that's what we're going to do. That'll be another video. You can look forward to that. Oh, here's another little thing that might interest you. Popped along last year when we had some sunshine. God, those days, sunshine. Can hardly remember it. To Popham for their model air show weekend that they have. So me and Mrs. Tweed popped along there and had a little look at the aircraft that are on static display, and they had some flying aircraft as well. Most taken by the model jet aircraft, which they had quite a few of there. And yeah, so I sort of videoed a bit of that for you. You can see that. And yeah, they're quite incredible, sort of miniature versions of early sort of jet engines, and they sound just like de Havilland Venoms when they're flying around. Yeah, really good. So yeah, that's over there.
To prove its capability before it can be seen in public. During the invasion, which is why this one also has the invasion stripes. Steve Hawty. Steve's from over the bridge there. He'll be presenting his F-16 Air Superiority Fighter, Generation 4 combat aircraft. This one's in the tail fin colours of the Arkansas Air Guard. Something to notice on this particular aeroplane is the afterburner effect. Now obviously in model aeroplanes we don't normally have afterburners in the gas turbines, although one gentleman in Germany has actually produced one that works. But this is an effect where when Steve throttles up the aircraft, a lighting setup at the back gives the visual impact of an afterburner. Now Steve's been on the demonstration scene for a long time, always presents his models well. And in full-size form, of course, this is the aircraft that you've probably read about it in the newspapers, where Belgium and Holland and a couple of other folks are talking about supplying these to the Ukrainian Air Force to try to redress the balance against the Russian Air Force. My understanding is that the Russian Air Force aren't too keen. Air Guard, take to the skies. So Steve has to manage the throttle very carefully to stop going outside of the bounds of the airfield. And as you can see, it's very aerobatic, rapid roll rates. Nothing to do with the habits of the pilot, just the airframe has got all the dangly bits hanging down. A beautiful flight. Thanks, Steve. Brilliant job.
So there you go. I think that'll do it. That's enough excitement for one video. There will be more videos coming along. We've done some more work on the Riley. Little bits ready for it's going to maybe a car show, as long as he behaves himself. Not too far to go. But anyway, that's the plan. So I'm just trying to tidy him up and do some of those jobs that I've never got round to because doing engine gearbox and that kind of thing, getting it running. Now he's running and do all these other little jobs. So that's for future videos. Next video on the Bantam will be putting the crank back together. It is together, see, because I'm future man now. Yeah, so a bit of a battle with that. So you'll see that in another video. So there you go. I think that'll do you. That's enough excitement for one video. Yeah, thanks for watching. If you like the videos, give us a little like and sort of help us along, sort of subscribe. I also know who watches and doesn't subscribe. Your names are on the list. Subscribe. Because I know some of you, a lot of you watch it. You only got to tick the little box. Doesn't cost you anything. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I know they say membership, it's got to be, subscribe, and then you can't knock it off, and then yeah, I know, Jenkins, calm down. He really unsettled you, didn't he? Yeah, just calm down, okay? Yeah, so, hit a little subscribe button if you like, and we'll see you next time, all right? Auf Wiedersehen. All right, Jenkins, stop crying. I did warn you. For when we win the war, you will be... Let's make a bit of room here. If I press play... did I press play? Hello and welcome to Tweed's Garage, where in this episode, so with that done, it's a case of mulling. With that done, it was a case of, what is this slacking with the DKW?